Hello friends, this video on basic geometrical ideas part 3 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So when we start with the basics of geometry, we will start with the 4 basic elements without which you cannot learn anything about any shape. So those 4 basic elements of geometry are line segment, line, ray, angle. And last but not the least, that is point. In fact, point is not the last one, it is going to be the first basics of geometry, because everything else is a combination of point, whether it is a line or a ray or an angle. So they cannot be there without a point. So point is like the most basic thing in geometry. So let us start with point. So point is the most fundamental object of geometry with no length, width or height. So what do we mean when we say that a point has no length, no width, no height? How does a point look like? It is just a dot. Can you tell me the length of this dot or the width or the height? No, you can't. Why? Because it is too small to be measured in terms of its length or width or height. So that is why we say that a point doesn't have any dimension. We do not measure its length, breadth or height. And it is the most fundamental object of geometry. A lot of other shapes, in fact most of the shapes are formed by a combination of points. For example, if you start putting points one after another in this fashion, what do you get? You get a straight line. If you start putting points one after another in this fashion, what do you get? You end up getting a circle. Similarly, if you put points in this fashion, what are you going to get? You are going to get a rectangle. So all the shapes that we see around us, they are basically formed by combination of points. That is why we say that point is the most fundamental object of geometry. It is represented by a dot. Now let us look at some real life examples where we encounter points. Now have you ever traveled in an aeroplane? Now what happens when the plane lands or when your flight takes off? So during takeoff and landing, have you observed something very interesting and very beautiful? Now let's say when the flight is taking off, initially you could see all the buildings which are present in the city very clearly. You could see them as buildings. Now gradually as the flight goes up and up, there comes a point where you are no more able to see those buildings as tall buildings. All you could see is they look like points. Maybe this point which you see here is actually a big building. Similarly, the point here is again another building. This point is another tower. So at a certain height, when you are considerably at a good height, you actually see all those objects, the light posts, the cars, the vehicles, the houses, everything seems to be points, like they appear like dots. So these are points. Think of the tip of the pencil. The moment you put the tip of the pencil on a sheet of paper, you get a dot, and that's a point. Consider the tip of the compass. The moment you put that tip on the sheet of paper, you again get a point. Certain other examples of points are the star-studded sky at night. Sometimes you see a lot of stars in the sky. Do you actually see those stars as like in their proper shapes? Now normally this is how the shape of a star would be, something of this sort. Right? But do you actually see these shapes of the stars when you look at the sky? No, we see them as dots, as you can see here. So they just appear as twinkling dots. So they are also points. So whenever you look at a smaller view of any object, whether you are in the aeroplane or you are on the say 50th floor of a building, and then you are looking down, so the vehicles and all the objects on the road appear to be points. So you see, these are points. Now this means that the concept of point applies not only on not only to the dots that we make on paper, but it also applies to things around us where we can visualize points. So this is about a point. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com for free quality education. You can learn with a simple 4-step learning process wherein you can watch video lessons, you can ask your questions, you can refer notes, and you can take a free online test. We have content for class 6 to 12 on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology along with practical videos. So please subscribe to our channel for daily updates. Thank you.